Good morning. All right, let's start this timer here, and that is a 15-minute interval timer, so that way I will read off my rules every 15 minutes. So to start off, be objective, trade what you see and not what you think. Don't look for an entry, look for understanding. Wait for the easiest entries when all of the context aligns. No looking at Discord channels other than the main room and news. No looking at any other web pages or apps than the rule set and timer. So this is the rule set that I'm reading off of, and then the timer is what I was just looking at earlier for the intervals. I guess there's also another timer that I'll use for news. But anyway, if Thomas is a trend drawn, then I'll draw it the same way. Only good PATS signal bars, so that means no inside bars, no engulfing bars, just the really good signal bars that are closing a couple ticks from their highs or lows. Longs above the EMA and shorts below the EMA unless you're coming off a proven trend or horizontal support or resistance level. Must be touching the EMA, trend line, or a support or resistance level in order to take a trade. Don't take the first, second entry after an overshoot or break into extreme. A higher low or lower high is needed afterwards in order to take a trade. Context that I'll take a trade in a trend. I'll take one looking for a break into extreme, or after the EMA is held strongly and a clear and obvious bias. So even if there's a break into extreme, prices come back and they hold the EMA clearly, and it's a very clear bias, then I'll still consider a trade. Setups that I'll take. I will take a second entry. I'll take a failed second entry. I'll take a higher low or lower high after a second entry, and I'll take a higher low or lower high after two clear legs back. Enter at the signal bar close with a limit order, or further back to have room before previous highs or lows if that is relevant. And then no trading 10 minutes before a news event. So I added those last couple after yesterday, and I might add some more depending on if there's anything else that I feel like I forgot. Let's get into today. It looks like a range day. You have a downtrend. Looks like it has a closeout side and a new low. So you can mark that new low. And that creates this quadruple test down here, creating what I think is the range low. You can see prices are flip-flopping the EMA, very steadily flip-flopping and trading on both sides of it. So yeah, it looks super range, like you have this uptrend, break new high, and then you just kind of go sideways. So I think you might even be able to draw like a little micro range here, though it's not that important. So right now, just kind of waiting to see, okay, our price is going to come up here, going to go down here, and yeah, there's not really much to do until then. It's possible that you do get a possible downtrend here that maybe you could trade, but it's not looking like it currently. All right, the rules. Be objective, trade what you see and not what you think. Don't look for an entry, look for understanding. Wait for the easiest entries when all of the context aligns. No looking at Discord channels other than the main room and news. No looking at any other web pages or apps than the rule set and timer. If Thomas has a trend drawn, then I will draw it the same way. I only take good PATS signal bars, only longs above the EMA and shorts below unless you're coming off a proven trend or horizontal support or resistance level. Must be touching the EMA trend line or a support or resistance level in order to take a trade. Don't take the first, second entry after an overshoot or break into extreme. A lower high or higher low is needed afterwards. Context that I'll take trades in a trend, take trades looking for a break into extreme of a trend, and I'll take one after the EMA is held strongly and a clear and obvious bias. So for example, if there's a break into extreme of a trend and then prices come back and they hold the EMA, then I'll still consider a trend in that case, assuming it's a clear bias. Setups I'll take second entries, I'll take failed second entries, I'll take higher lows and lower highs after a second entry, I'll take higher lows and lower highs after 2 clear legs back. Enter at signal bar close with a limit order or further back if I need room to get out before a previous high or low. And then no trading 10 minutes before news events, and that's it. Looks like we have news at 10 a.m. So I'm going to go set a timer. And that alarm is going to be for, well, it's just 15 minutes from now, 9:50. And start that, so that is on. So at 9:50 I'll have to stop taking some trades because there's a JOLTS job opening news event, which is a high impact news event at 10 o'clock. So I'm gonna have to stop taking some trades and see if anything comes of that. Looks like we might be working towards a second leg up here. just a couple minutes until we're going to have to take a slight break from trading. I mean, of course, I'll still be here, but won't be able to take any trades for a little bit to see if this news event impacts anything. All right, so be objective, trade what you see and not what you think. Don't look for an entry, look for understanding. Wait for the easiest entries when all of the context aligns. No looking at Discord channels other than the main room and news. No looking at any other web pages or apps than the rule set and timer. If Thomas has a trend drawn, then I will also draw it the same way. Only take good PATS signal bars, longs above the EMA and shorts below the EMA unless you're coming off a proven trend or horizontal support or resistance level. Must be touching the EMA, trend line, or a support or resistance level in order to take a trade. Don't take the first second entry after an overshoot or a break into extreme. Need at least a higher low or lower high afterwards. The context that I'll take a trade in a trend. I'll take a trade looking for a break into extreme or after the EMA is held strongly in a clear and obvious bias. So for example, if there's already a break into extreme, prices will have to come back and hold the EMA before I'm willing to take a trade. Setups that I'll take a second entry, I'll take a failed second entry, I'll take a higher low or lower high after a second entry, or I'll take a higher low or lower high after two clear legs. I'll be entering at the signal bar close with a limit order or further back to have room before the previous highs or lows if that is necessary. And then no trading 10 minutes before news events. And right now we are 10 minutes before the JOLTS job opening news events, so I can't take anything here. And that's what this red square is. right, there's the news event, so just gonna have to wait until that kind of dies down a little bit. Possibility to get a second entry short looking for this break a new low. Thing is, you still have this uptrend that's probably still in play. Might need to break a new high. But if you're playing this as the range, well, never mind. That's a really strong push through the EMA, and I think the news is still going on right now. So I'm just gonna wait. Still looking a little crazy with the volatility. There's a failed second entry right there, but it's going right into that high. And again, you're still kind of looking a little bit crazy with the news. So it's not something I'm going to take, but we'll mark that. And you would be thinking, okay, we might head towards the break a new high for this uptrend. So that's why it's, you know, possibility, but not something I think that I should take. Looks like that's where you're headed. Does that break a new high? Okay, could look for a second entry long here. It looks to me like the news has died down for the most part. So I'm going to get a buy order ready just in case. Doesn't look like that's going to be a bullish bar there. And yep, we are pushing through the EMA, so let's go ahead and take that off. All right, rules: be objective, trade what you see and not what you think. Don't look for an entry, look for understanding. Wait for the easiest entries when all the context aligns. No looking at Discord channels other than the main room and the newsroom. Any other web pages, don't look for any other web pages or apps than the rule set and timer as well. If Thomas is a trend drawn, then I will also draw it the same way. Only look for good PATS signal bars, longs above the EMA and shorts below the EMA unless you're coming off a proven trend or horizontal support or resistance level. Must be touching the EMA, trend line, or a support or resistance level in order to take a trade. Don't take the first second entry after an overshoot or break a new extreme. A higher low or lower high is needed afterwards. Context I'll take a trade in a trend. I'll take a trade looking for a break, a new extreme. I'll take a trade after the EMA is held strongly and a clear and obvious bias. So for example, after prices create a break and new extreme, if they come back and they hold the EMA, then I might still look to take a trade if the EMA is holding strongly. Setups I'll take a second entry, I'll take a failed second entry, I'll take a higher low or lower high after a second entry, I'll take a higher low or lower high after 2 clear legs back. And then whenever I'm entering at signal bar close with a limit order or further back to have room to get out before previous highs or lows. And I will not trade 10 minutes before any news event at least. So here we go. This is, marked off for 10 minutes before the news event. Here's the news event, and then prices are getting back to normal about here. So can get back trading there. Okay, so I would consider a possible higher low here. This does look like you can see a short-term downtrend that has a break and new low and a strong push below or above the EMA. But the thing is, this bar is really, really big, and now you're so far from the EMA. Even if you pulled back to a higher low, you move too far now, so you can't take that. Would have been more so if prices moved here, and then started higher. Okay, now you have the new high. So this uptrend has played out with a break and 2 legs to new high. It's a strong push below the EMA, so this looks like it could be a reversal. And that is probably a pretty good failure to take there. I guess technically you could say that's off a trend. I'm not sure though, as far as whether that's like technically off the trend and fits within my rules, because it is just kind of a reversal there. So I think I'd rather wait for like a confirmed trend and then either take something in that trend or looking for the break into extreme, as opposed to taking, maybe that reversal there. But it could be a good one. It definitely looks pretty good because you do have that break in new high. You're kind of coming back within the range. I think this needs to go one tick back. Kind of coming back within this range area. And the uptrend has a break a new high, strong push below the EMA, pretty clear 1-2 legs back with the failure right off the EMA with the big bearish bar. So it seems like that could be a pretty decent trade there. My one big concern with this one would just be taking it so far from the EMA. I mean, you can see like this bar just closed really, really big and bearish, kind of far from the EMA there. It's a very volatile day. I mean, look at these bars. This is obviously the news, but these are just very, very big bars going through the EMA over and over and over. This downtrend now has a break a new low. Looks like 2 legs down, 1, 2. Completes that correction, so I wouldn't be shocked if we start to get some sort of further upward action. This is definitely no man's land. So that the uptrend has a break in new extreme, the downtrend has a break in new low. So there's nothing really you can do. You just have to wait for something clearer to kind of set up here. Just have some sort of clearer structure before I'm willing to take a trade. I doubt that, yeah, I don't think there's any kind of larger uptrend here for the time being. I think we just have to wait and see. All right, rules. Be objective. Trade what you see and not what you think. Don't look for an entry, look for understanding. Wait for the easiest entries when all of the context aligns. No looking at Discord channels other than the main room and news. And no looking at any other web pages or apps than the rule set and timer. If Thomas has a trend drawn, then I'll also draw it the same way. Only taking good PATS signal bars, longs above the EMA and shorts below, unless you're coming off proven trend or horizontal support or resistance level. Must be touching the EMA, trend line, or a support or resistance level in order to take a trade. Don't take the first, second entry after an overshoot or break a new extreme. A higher low or lower high is needed afterwards in order to consider a trade. Context I'll take a trade in a trend, I'll take a trade looking for a break in new extreme, and I'll take a trade after the EMA is held strongly and a clear and obvious bias. So for example, if there's a break in new extreme of a trend already, but the EMA is continuing to hold, then that's whenever I would be willing to take one of those. Or it's just a very clear bias and I'm not exactly sure where the trend is, but the EMA is holding strongly. Now, setups I'll take a second entry, I'll take a failed second entry, I'll take a higher low or lower high after a second entry, or I'll take a higher low or lower high after 2 clear legs. I realize that I also need to add in there, I'll take a failed second entry after those 2 clear legs as well. So I'm gonna write that down for later, but I won't change it at this moment. And then I will be entering at the signal bar close with limit order or further back if I need room to get out before the previous highs or lows. And I do need to make sure that I do have room to get out before those previous highs or lows. And no trading 10 minutes before a news event. So you can see this red section here. It's 10 minutes before this news event hit, and then no trading, obviously a little bit after the news event until things kind of slow down. So that's that. So it looks like you are probably going to create a failed second entry here, and it will be off of a possible trend line, but I don't know. It's kind of sketchy. And the signal bar is not good anyway, so no thanks. Okay, so it is possible that we get a second entry long here though. And that I would be a lot more willing to take, because I think this trend is looking a little bit more confirmed. It's a pretty clear second entry off the possible EMA there. Oh, very close to having a good signal bar, but then boom, it just drops right on down there. So nothing to do. And looks like we are getting a close outside a new high for this little uptrend right here. All right, rules. Be objective, trade what you see and not what you think. Don't look for an entry, look for understanding. Wait for the easiest entries when all of the context aligns. No looking at Discord channels other than the main room and newsroom. No looking at any other web pages or apps than the rule set and timer. If Thomas has a trend drawn, I will also draw it the same way. Only take good PATS signal bars, longs above the EMA and shorts below the EMA unless you're coming off a proven trend or horizontal support resistance level. Must be touching the EMA trend line or a support resistance level in order to take a trade. Don't take the first, second entry after an overshoot or break into extreme. A higher low or lower high is needed afterwards. Context that I will take. I'll take trades in a trend. I'll take trades looking for a break into extreme. And I'll take trades after the EMA is held strongly in a clear and obvious bias. So for example, if there's an uptrend, it gets a break and new high, prices come back and they hold the EMA strongly, then I might still look to take an entry. Setups that I'll take second entries, I'll take failed second entries, I'll take higher lows or lower highs after a second entry, or I'll take a higher low or lower high after 2 clear legs back. I would also take a failed second entry after 2 clear legs, but that's not written there currently. I will enter at signal bar close with a limit order or further back to have room before the previous highs or lows, and you need to have room before the previous highs or lows. And no trading 2 minutes before news events. That's what this red section is here, blocked off 10 minutes before this news event here, and then it ends after the news event kind of slows down and price action gets back to normal. That is a second entry long there, but I'm unsure of this uptrend here. It does look like prices are moving up in some sort of uptrend, so maybe that's a decent trade, but I'm not positive. Also, you know, I was looking away from the screen, so there's that too. The more that I look at this, I think this probably was worthwhile. So it's unfortunate that I was not really paying attention there. I don't know if I would have taken that if I was paying attention, but it's possible. So it's kind of dumb for me to look away to write that down. Just had an idea that I had to write down, or wanted to write down. So now you do have the potential for another second entry long right off the EMA. So I will at least prepare for that one in case there's a good signal bar. And now with this push down, I'm actually going to treat this just as one push down there. So treat that as a double top. It's a possible second entry long. Like I said, I'm going to treat this as a double top, especially after you just push through that EMA there. So I'm going to treat this, again, as a double top here. And then if we get a first entry, we push down and get a second entry maybe off this trend line. That's what I'll look for, but I'm not going to take this one. Okay, so it looks like I probably made the right decision there. Possibility for now, treating this double top, first entry, second entry long off the trend line. So if we do break higher there, I'm going to take that. has a second entry long. I believe this is an uptrend. I think this is a confirmed trend right here. You have 3 touches on the main side. Then you have quite a few touches on this opposite side. Clearly double top, first entry, second entry, good signal bar. I'd prefer to have it above the EMA, but again, I think this is a confirmed trend line, so that's why I'm taking that. I'm getting pretty close to the target. It's about 3 points. Getting real close, just a tick away. Although it's probably got to go 2 ticks, so generally you won't get out if it just touches your order. It's got to go through the order, so really it's got to go a few ticks up there.
Target filled.
There we go. I do think that's a very good second entry. I like that one a lot. Now we can even look for the higher low here. So if we do get a higher low above the EMA, or even just off this trend line, then there's a chance that I'll be willing to take that as well. So let's see if we get something like that. Rules: be objective, trade what you see and not what you think. Don't look for an entry, look for understanding. Wait for the easiest entries when all of the context aligns. No looking at Discord channels other than the main room and news. No looking at any other web pages or apps than the rule set and the timer. If Thomas has a trend drawn, then I will draw it the same way. Only take good PATS signal bars, longs above the EMA and shorts below the EMA unless you're coming off a proven trend line or horizontal support or resistance line. Must be touching the EMA trend line or support or resistance line in order to take a trade. Don't take the first second entry after an overshoot or break a new extreme. Higher low or lower high is needed at least. Context that I'll trade in a trend, looking for a break a new extreme, or after the EMA is held in a clear and obvious bias. Setups that I'll take a second entry, I'll take a failed second entry, I'll take a higher low or lower high after a second entry, or I'll take a higher low or lower high after 2 clear legs back. It's not written here, but I would also take a failed second entry after 2 clear legs back. I will enter at signal bar close with a limit order or further back to have room before the previous highs or lows if that is applicable. And then no trading 10 minutes before news, and then wait until the news kind of dies down. So you can see here, this is 10 minutes before the news happens, and then I had to wait until the news died down before I trade. Now this is a second entry long. This trend looks correct to me. So I'm going to look for some sort of higher low or failed second entry now to potentially get some continuation. And Thomas has this trend drawn like this. So it's possible that this was too aggressive here to trade against this short-term trend, which I thought was steeper. So that is, we'll have to see later on. And here we go. There's a potential for a higher low. So I'm going to go ahead and enter an order just in case. That would be a, well, treating this as double top, first entry, second entry, potential for a higher low here. No good signal bar, can't take that. So now, again, first entry, second entry, coming off this trend line. There's potential for a failed second entry because you have this first entry short, you break higher. So if you come down and you create a failed second entry short, kind of off the EMA, even if it's a little bit sideways, I think I'd still be willing to take that. So really with this downtrend, this one's probably more like a more aggressive green type of trade. I still do really like this second entry because it's a 1, 2, 3 triple test right off the EMA with the EMA has been holding. It's a second entry long, perfect signal bar. I do think that one's pretty good. And now this has moved pretty far, so I'm not going to look for a failure anymore, because if you did come all the way back down here, that's just a first entry, so got to look for a second entry long now. possible overshoot. But you could just drag this out just a tad and say, well, that's not an overshoot yet, so I'm not going to mark it quite yet as an overshoot. But if it does push a little bit higher, then I think I'm going to have to. Right now, the midline still fits well, though, and this opposite side still fits well. Rules. Be objective, trade what you see and not what you think. Don't look for an entry, look for understanding. Wait for the easiest entries when all of the context aligns. No looking at Discord channels other than the main room and news, or no looking at any other web pages or apps than the rule set or timer. If Thomas has a trend drawn, then I will draw it the same way. Only take good PATS signal bars, only take longs above the EMA and shorts below the EMA unless you're coming off a proven trend or horizontal support or resistance level. So here we go, for example, this is below the EMA, but we are off proven trend, so that's why I was willing to take that one. Must be touching the EMA trend line or support or resistance level in order to take a trade. Case in point yet again. Don't take the first second entry after an overshoot or break into extreme. A higher low or lower high is needed afterwards. The context I'll take trades in a trend. I'll take trades looking for a break into extreme. I'll take trades after the EMA is held strongly in a clear and obvious bias. So for example, if this uptrend had a break and a new high and then prices came back and they held the EMA again, then maybe I'll consider continuing looking for some long trades. But those are the only contexts that I'll take. Setups I'll take a second entry, a failed second entry, a higher low or lower high after a second entry, a higher low or lower high after two clear legs back, and it's not written here, but I'll also take a failed second entry after two clear legs back. Okay, and then as far as whenever I'm entering, I will enter at the signal bar close with a limit order or further back to have room before the previous highs or lows, and no trading 10 minutes before any news events. So you can see right here, block this off 10 minutes before the news happened, and then I waited until after the news has kind of cooled down and prices are back to normal before considering taking a trade again. And that is it for rules. Okay, so you have a first entry. If you move higher here, then it'll create a second entry long. And if you just kind of tweak this just a little bit, it would be a second entry long right off of this trend line. So I would like to consider that one, though it is going to be basically without fail going kind of right into that EMA, which is not awesome. It's a pretty strong short-term downtrend as well. So there's a couple things I don't love about this one. Just preparing just in case you have a really strong bar here. It doesn't look like that's what's going to happen. So let's go ahead and put this back to where I kind of believe it really is, which is right off that close. And I'm going to call that a break. So a break of the trend. Downtrend, close outside. Looks like we're moving towards a new low. Expecting a break and new high for this uptrend. So I'm going to start looking for some longs here. Maybe a higher low above the EMA, or a failed second entry above the EMA, or a move up and then two legs back to then go higher. So that's kind of the three things that I'd be looking for here. Okay, so I'm actually going to look at this more as just two legs. You could draw a downtrend, like the one that I had drawn, which is like wider, but I think even if you were to draw something wider, it'd probably look more like this. I think it's really just like this though. Well, let's take a look. I don't know, I kind of like how that fits too. Break a new low though, so either way it looks like two legs down. It looks like two legs down, not quite measured, but I would consider a higher low or a failed second entry above the EMA potentially. Okay, maybe I take that back. Maybe it is a little bit wider. And that is the true new low. Still would consider a failed second entry above the EMA and take that like right there. Rules. Be objective, trade what you see and not what you think. Don't look for an entry, look for understanding. Wait for the easiest entries when all of the context aligns. No looking at Discord channels other than the main room and news. Do not look for or at any other web pages or apps than the rule set and timer. If Thomas has a trend drawn, then I will also draw it the same way. Only take good PATS signal bars, longs above the EMA and shorts below the EMA unless you're coming off a proven trend horizontal support or resistance level. So this one I took below the EMA, but it was off the proven trend line, so I thought that was okay. Must be touching the EMA, trend line, or a support or resistance level in order to take a trade, so it must be off of a key entry point. Don't take the first second entry after an overshoot or break a new extreme. You'll need a higher low or lower high. So let's say if we move to a break a new high, but prices come back and they continue to hold the EMA and work higher, then in that case, then I would consider still looking for longs. Context I'll take a trade in a trend. I'll take a trade looking for a break a new extreme, or I'll take it after the EMA is held strongly in a clear and obvious up bias. So like I was saying, if prices moved up, made that break a new high, and then continue to hold the EMA and just kind of like a clear up bias, that maybe I would still take that. Setup I'll take a second entry, failed second entry, higher, lower high after a second entry, higher, lower high after two clear legs back, or also a failed second entry after those two clear legs. So for example, here we have an uptrend, we're looking for a break a new high, you have a downtrend, break a new low, that creates two legs back. So I would consider taking a failure above the EMA here. And then I will enter at the signal bar close with a limit order or further back to have room before the previous highs or lows. So you need to make sure that there's room before the highs or lows. We'll be entering, let's say, at the bar close, which would be right here for this bar. But let's say if I was going right into the highs, then I would need to drop a limit order back and make sure that I had room. No trading 10 minutes before a news event. So for example, here, the news blocked it off 10 minutes beforehand. News happens here, wait till the news dies down, and then you can start trading again. That's what this box is. All right. So Thomas does have this drawn as an overshoot, which I guess makes sense after such a strong move down. So I'll draw that the same. Overshoot. And then he has a wider trend down. So I guess we'll see if this is correct soon here, as prices are about to come bounce off of that. And that makes sense because you do have all these bounces off the opposite side there, and you reject so strongly just with this one leg up right here. So I guess that does make sense there. So with that overshoot and the strong move down and this trend being in play, then I suppose you can start looking for some shorts. Or I can start looking for some shorts. another overshoot. So we'll not be looking to take any shorts, even if you get a nice second entry short. Can't take that because there's an overshoot. I'll have to wait on some kind of lower high in order to take a short. So that's where I would be looking to enter, assuming this would be the setup here.
Okay, so there's your second entry short. First entry, second entry, can't take that, there's an overshoot. Also, there's the short-term uptrend in the way. Now, would I still consider taking a short here? Yes. If prices come up here, create a lower high off the EMA, and there's clear rejection off the EMA, then I would consider that. Or if the short-term uptrend gets a break in new high, and then you get a lower high or failed second entry, that's whenever I would start considering that. So it's a possibility. All right, so this would be a first entry, second entry, lower high off the EMA, looking for a, well, I would say looking for a break a new low, but it's right off the trend line, actually. So let's see here. If that breaks lower, I'm going to take that. So I'll take that if it comes back to fill me. And again, that's a first entry, second entry, lower high, right off this trend line. It is after an overshoot, so I don't take the second entry after an overshoot, but I will take this lower high here. Signal bar is pretty good. It's not perfect. It is 3 ticks from the extreme. Has a pretty decent wick. It's coming off the EMA as well, so 2 different key entry points, and that's my signal to read the rules. So be objective, trade what you see and not what you think. Don't look for an entry, look for understanding. Wait for the easiest entries when all of the context aligns. No looking at Discord channels other than the main room and news. Do not look at any other web pages or apps than the rule set or timer. If Thomas has a trend drawn, then I will also draw it the same way. Only take good PATS signal bars. Take longs above the EMA and shorts below the EMA unless you're coming off a proven trend or horizontal support or resistance level. Must be touching the EMA trend line or horizontal support or resistance level in order to take a trade. Don't take the first, second entry after an overshoot or break a new extreme. So here we go. This is after an overshoot, first entry, second entry. Can't take that one. So I waited on the lower high off the EMA that's still off the trend line. Context I'll take a trade in a trend. I'll take a trade looking for a break in new extreme. I'll take a trade after the EMA is held strongly and a clear and obvious bias. And the setups I'll take a second entry. I'll take a failed second entry. I'll take a higher low or lower high after a second entry. I'll take a higher low or lower high after 2 clear legs back. As far as entering, I will take I'll enter at the signal bar close with a limit order or further back to have room before the previous highs or lows. So let's say if this one formed and I didn't have room to get out before the highs or lows, entering at the signal bar close, then I would drop a limit order back in order to have room. And no trading 10 minutes before a news event. So need to block off that time 10 minutes before and during a news event until things slow back down. So it looks like prices came pretty close to stopping me out, and it looks like we might get out for our target.
Filled.
Yep. I think that's, again, an okay trade. It's not the best one ever because it just looks like one leg up, and then you get to like the lower high, but it is a first entry, second entry. First entry, second entry, lower high, off the EMA, off the trend line. The problem, I guess, really is the overshoot more than anything. I think with that, I'll take my 2 wins. I do need to go to a doctor's appointment because I believe I have a sinus infection. So I'm going to go ahead and hop off. It'll allow me to eat some lunch. I'll take my 2 wins. I'm okay with that. And then I will be trading tomorrow. So I will see you guys tomorrow.